More than 80,000 people have backed a petition for the Queen to fund Buckingham Palace's £369 million makeover, and they have some support from John McDonnell. Labour's Shadow Chancellor said it was right to fix up the public monument, but we'd welcome a royal contribution, adding, "I wouldn't send the cheque back." The petition began on the 38 Degrees campaign website after the government announced it will hand the Queen a 10-year surge in her royal grant. It will rise from 15% to 25% of profits from the sprawling Crown estate, the rest of which go to the Treasury, to fund tearing out old wiring officials say could start a fire. But the petition says, there is a national housing crisis, the NHS is in crisis, austerity is forcing cuts in many front-line services. Now the royals expect us to dig deeper to refurbish Buckingham Palace. The Crown's wealth is inestimable. This is, in a word, outrageous. Today the Shadow Chancellor told the BBC's Andrew Marr show, "It's a public building, it's a public monument, it's a heritage building, so we have to invest in it to preserve it. If the Queen and the royal family want to consider a contribution, I certainly wouldn't send the cheque back. It does show though that when we need the money for buildings and maintenance we can afford it. So we should be building homes, we should be tackling the maintenance problems that ordinary people have got as well." Pressed on whether he thought the royal family should pay, he said, "I think that's for them to consider. I think we'd welcome it. It would be a nice touch if it was opened up to the public free of charge a bit more as well." Shadow Defense Secretary Clive Lewis added, "I think the Queen could contribute quite a bit to that. She's one of the wealthiest people in the country. Why not?" The petition says the Crown and its estates should be made to fund the renovations, but it's not clear how this would work or whether it means the Queen's personal wealth. Last year's Sunday Times rich list estimated her personal wealth at £340 million, and she privately owns Sandringham House and Balmoral Castle. Her other estates are controlled through the Crown Estate, which pays most of its revenues to the taxpayer in a deal dating back to the 1600s. Prince Charles also earns millions of pounds from the Duchy of Cornwall estate. Chancellor Philip Hammond defended the spending, saying the building is fading away before our very eyes. He added, "This is a Grade 1 listed building, an important and iconic monument, a key element supporting Britain's hugely important tourist industry. It's also a building owned by the government. We have responsibilities as a government when it comes to heritage assets. It's not had its services renewed since the early 1950s. It's frankly a hazard. There's fire risk, flood risk from the decrepit state of the services in Buckingham Palace."
Public free of charge a bit more as well.